Okay, so here we go. We have another video here because I updated my deck profile slightly. I believe this is a bit more consistent and also has a couple of different cards used overall. I had accidentally put in 2 Brilliant Fusions before, so this has actually mitigated that problem. And now, yeah, I'm ready to go ahead and give you my new deck profile. So let's go ahead. Obviously we're running the 3 Judgment Dragons in here, and also going to be running 3 Raiden and 3 Wolf, which is pretty standard for a Lightsworn deck, to be honest, these days. So with those ones out of the way, that's the 3 of. What we have next is 2 Lumina, and also 2 Felice. Now I believe that having more of these can sometimes clog up your hand a little bit too much. So that's the 2 ofs, and then what we go ahead and do is put in 1 Gareth and 1 Lila. Just gives you a couple more names for your Judgment Dragon, because you wanted to try and get him out as soon as you can. So hopefully you can either mill them or get them to your hand and get them out. Now I run a Predaplant engine, which is 3 Offris Scorpio and 1 Darlingtonia Cobra. You don't really need to be running any more than this because that's all that's needed. I run 2 Performage Damage Juggler and 1 Performage Trick Clown. I don't actually have Hat Trickers myself, so I haven't really tried using them very much, but I'm definitely planning on getting them in the future, which may or may not come into the next build. I have put 2 Honest into this build as well. Can be quite helpful if you're trying to get over a big monster. And then now of the 1-ofs in the monsters, we have Blackluster Soldier, Destrudo, Photon Thrasher, Goblinberg, Gemknight Garnet, and Glow-Up Bulb. As you would know, Gemknight Garnet for the Brilliant Engine. The Glow-Up Bulb is very handy for extending your plays, and obviously you want to try and get that Photon Thrasher to your hand, or if you've got a Rotor, which helps you special summon it straight on the first turn. Destrudo, very good for extending your plays, but I also knocked down the Goblinberg by a couple because I was finding there was too many cards running in the deck. So now moving on to the spells, we have 3 Solar Recharge and 3 Charge of the Light Brigade. Obviously very standard Lightsworn cards, and very clearly need to be in there. And then 1-ofs, I'm running a Monster Reborn, Foolish Burial, 1 Brilliant Fusion, a Rhoda, Lightsworn Judgment, and Breakthrough Skill. Obviously not too many traps, we don't want to have too trap heavy, but obviously these 2 have effects that go off in the graveyard, so it's quite handy. So yeah, that takes us through the main deck. And then what I want to do is move on to the extra deck. Now I've changed a few of the cards in here. Much is the same, but let's see what you think. We've got Curious, Topologic Bomber Dragon, Decode Talker, and Proxy Dragon. Obviously the link cards. The Proxy Dragon, like I've said before, is very handy for getting rid of the cards that are clogging up your field too much, and gives you that other light monster to help you go into Curious a bit easier. And obviously with the Topologic Bomber Dragon play, can be very handy. Then we're moving on to the Xyz monsters. I'm actually running now a Dante, a Minerva, Bujinte Tsukiyomi, if you've clogged up your hand a bit too much, and also number 68, Xenophon the Sky Prison. I find this one's quite an interesting one because with the amount of monsters that you actually throw into the graveyard, it's very handy to actually have just sitting there. If you've managed to get 2 Judgment Dragons onto the field, or perhaps a Cypher Lord Omega and a Judgment Dragon, you can blow up the field with the Judgment Dragon, get out your other cards that you need to, and then also use this effect. Now by detaching a material at the end of your turn, it's probably the best idea. You can actually stop your opponent from summoning anybody from summoning from their graveyards during the next turn. So when you've got someone that is summoning from the graveyard very heavily, this can definitely block them. And he also gains attack equal 100 times every monster that's in your graveyard, which obviously is well, actually, sorry, it's 100 attack and defense for every monster in the graveyard. So including your opponents, this could be very hard to get over. It also cannot be destroyed by card effects until the end of your opponent's turn. So next we have Gem Knight, Seraph Knight, which is obviously finishing out the Brilliant engine. Now going on to the synchro monsters that I have, I've got Crystal and Quandax, which I believe in my previous video I have shown this play before. Michael, the Arch Lightsworn, FA Dawn Dragster, very good for spell and trap removal. Crystal Wing Synchro Dragon, Psyframe Lord Omega, and Trishula, Dragon of the Ice Barrier. I've decided to put this card in because it's a lot more handy, especially if you end up going second as well, if they've got some stuff already on the field, and you can get into this. It's very, very useful. So that rounds out the deck right there. I hope you've enjoyed the deck profile here. I'm not going to go through with a test hand this time, but definitely let me know what you think in the comments, and if there's any other sort of cards that you would recommend in this deck, then please leave a comment and let me know. Like the video, and I'll try and post some more content coming up in the future. Thanks.